Okay, and welcome back to Who the Bear videos. This is Scott, and today I'm going to do something I've been requested for a long time now. It's basically how you connect up your GT8 and possibly your GT10 to your PC so you can use the editor to manipulate or edit any of your patches. The GT8, I've always found it really quite self-explanatory on the actual units themselves, but using the actual editor itself, it can be a hell of a lot easier and a lot more direct, a lot quicker to edit. Alright? Right, I've checked now, and the both the GT8 and the GT10 use MIDI connections. So you may find that you'll be able to connect the GT10 up in the same ways I'm going to be guiding you through now. I'm just glancing onto the manual on the other side. Let me see if I can show you this very quickly. Right. Not sure if you can see that. This is from the manual itself. Yeah, that's on the GT10. Now, what you've got there, you've also got as a USB connection. All right, but you've also got MIDI connections. So there's your USB. There's your MIDI. What you may find is you might not need a USB connector for USB to MIDI converter for the GT10. All right, so don't go shouting at me if you find that you could have done it with the original cable. All right, just find out and have a test first. Primarily, this video is for the GT8. Okay. So like I said, essentially, this is not for every single USB to MIDI converter out there. There's going to be differences. What I'll do is I'll talk you through the units that I've got here, which is quite a simple and cheap, effective little converter, and I'll talk you through the editor, where you can get it from, making sure that you're not getting it from any dubious different sites. All right, and how to connect it back up again. All right, just a very quick tip. All right, where most people go wrong with this. All right, so if you're thinking get on with it. Most of the times, where people are connecting up these the MIDI sites, they go in and they're connecting the into the in, out to the out. It's the opposite way around. It's crossed over. Just try swapping them around first of all, okay? But otherwise, I'll take you through the full process. Okay, catch you in a minute. Right, what we've got on the floor is a jumbled mess of cables, but essentially, let me talk you through it. Right, the crux of the thing is this little box here. All right, this is a USB to MIDI converter. All right. Now, unless you've got a really old computer with MIDI connections on it, you used to be able to get a serial to MIDI connection, or very old sound cards had MIDI connections built into it. All right, but these days, and what I've got on both my laptop and my machine, my PC, which I use, essentially is USB. Most PCs have got it these days. Alright, so that's what I'm going to be dealing with here. So this is what we've got. Let me see if I can give you some sort of hint. I doubt it probably will, but this is it's a USB MIDI interface. What you've got on the connection here is a USB connection there. Now I know it looks a bit weird because a lot of USB connections now these days have changed. I'll talk you through it in a second now. There's the MIDI cables that actually come with the MIDI connector itself. All right. I'll talk you through that in a second as well because there's ins and outs which you need to know. Then there's this. Now this is the USB connection, USB cable. All right. Now it's the old printer one that you used to have when it first came out. It's a USB A to B. All right. It's an A to B. So you notice now. Whoop. Let me see if I can do it. There's your familiar normal USB connection. There's the old one. Alright, so it's an A to B. Now, depending on your MIDI interface, because the MIDI interface I'm using here is fairly old, then you may find it has the same on both sides. So have a check and make sure. Don't assume, alright? Right, so they're the cables we're going to be using. This is my trusty old laptop. You'll have to excuse any buzzing or screeching or like that because it's very old and the processor fan is very buzzy on it, but it works, it does a job. Alright, so that's the laptop I'm going to be using today. there's the good old faithful GT8. Alright, which we're going to be using. What we're going to be doing then is downloading from SourceForge the GT8 editor. Alright, what I'll do is I'll include the links below. If you look on one of my previous videos as well, it also talked about where you can get the actual connection from, where you can get the software from, sorry, and for all different versions of it. Alright? Okay, right, so first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to install the USB to MIDI interface. Alright? So, first of all, let's have a look at the connectors. Right, okay, so this is my MIDI converter now, okay? So first of all, yeah, you got your A to B connection here, your square one. You can't get it wrong way around because the other one looks like that. Alright, so that's not going to fit in there. So first of all, plug in your USB cable. Alright. Now on the other side of your USB connector, you can tell this is getting a bit old because the actual plastic's getting a bit faded in it now. Now I'm not sure if you can see. You've got in and you've got out. Alright? You've also got, normally you'll have two different types of cables, two different color cables. One in this case here, one black, one white. It does not matter one little bit which one you plug in what. Alright? You can plug a white one into the in one, you can put the white one into the black one. They're just standard cables. The actual the color of them doesn't matter. The color of them essentially just lets you enable, you see at the other end which one is the in and which one's the out. Okay, does that make, yeah? So in this case, I've got, let me see, I've got my white one going into the out, and I've got the black one going into the in. Okay? Right, so I've plugged these in. These are the, let me show you very quickly. That's what they look like on the other side. Alright, 5-pin DINs, standard 5-pin DIN. Okay, right. So they're connected in like that, like so. Okay? Right, so let's now pop over to the laptop and let's plug it in and see what happens when I plug it into the laptop. Now, this is going to be a bit of a trial and error because essentially this is a freshly installed laptop which I did this morning. Alright? So all I've got on here now is just the standard Windows drivers plus the NVIDIA graphics card drivers. So there's no other drivers on here. So let's just see if this picks up the USB connection. So, plug it in, down here, it goes in, okay, and it's installing software. Now, because this is essentially like quite a generic device, Windows, especially Windows 7, there we are, ready to use, is essentially, it should pick it up. Now, if I remember rightly, let me go into my Windows. Let me see this here. What I'm doing now is I'm right-clicking on my computer, properties. I mean, all I'm basically doing is just making sure it's gone in and it's picked it up. It said it did, but if I go into Device Manager, and eventually comes here now. Now, this, if I remember rightly, yeah, and sorry about the wobbly camera. Under the sound and video and game controllers, it's now installed something called Ta Hong Musical Instrument. Yeah, it's a standard MIDI to USB interface, which again, like I said, this is a fresh install of Windows, so no other drivers have gone on it, and it's picked it up straight away. Which is why I like this interface. There's no downloading and hunting of Chinese drivers from anywhere, all over the different place. Okay, so that's installed that nice and quick, nice and easily. Okay, so essentially what I've done now is I've plugged in my MIDI connections. I've plugged in the USB cable, and it's picked it up and it's installed it. Alright, nice and quick, nice and easy so far. Right, so now what we want is, where do you get the software from? Okay, now if you go to I mean, you can get this this is from one of my other previous videos. Getting the most from the GT8 videos, alright? But essentially, in the comments below there, what I've done, if you can see, yeah, this here, http:// fxfloorboard.sourceforge.net. So this is where I've got the actual software downloaded from, alright? And I've downloaded this a number of times, and it's safe, okay? That then takes you to this page here, FX Floorboard. So again, there's your link, fxfloorboard.sourceforge.net. They're the guys that created this editor, and I would like to thank them profusely for this. Absolutely brilliant. Right, what I've noticed on here, yeah, you've got your from GT3, GT5, GT6, GT8, GT Pro FX, that's the rack mount job, GT10 and GT100. On the actual, or actually on the sorry, let's leave you out, because this may work for some of you on using the base ones. So you've got the GT10B, 6B, ME25 and GR55, alright? So anyway, when I was looking on the Roland site, on the Boss site for the software to see if there's a new, because I knew there's a newer version that you can use to control the GT100, alright? There isn't any GT8 anymore. There's a GT10 and there's a GT100. It looks like Boss or Roland have stopped supporting the GT8. Shame, because it's an absolutely amazing little unit, and it's for the money. It's absolutely. I think it's possibly one of the best. Just to go into a little bit of background, I went from a GT8 to a GT100. Okay, GT100 was amazing, fantastic. The amps on it were a lot more organic, and you can probably see that from some of my videos that I've done additionally on my channel. The only instance that I had was I was using it in manual mode, and for some reason when I hit one pedal on manual mode, it would also change that patch, so it like bring in the delay. But say I had on one of the other pedals, like a distortion, it would, for some reason, after I upgraded the software, the unit on there, it would change the overdrive to a delay as well. So in other words, I'd lose my overdrive, and have like just the one effect of the delay. Now I spoke to Roland, and they tried a few bits and pieces. I've had a look on the internet on this, and this seems to be quite a very rare, if not one-off issue. Please don't let me put you off the GT100. They're amazing. All right, I'm thinking, looking forward a bit further down the line, I probably might get a GT100 as well as my GT10. Not to use it at the same time, because I'd be greedy, but just because, just so I have the choice of the two. Anyway, back to the discussion. So, when you go to the GT8 FX Floorboard download, yeah, it'll take you to the page, and essentially, yeah, you've got all your links to the software here. All right. What I've done is, like Blue Peter, here's what I prepared earlier. So this is the file that you get when you download and click on those links for the Windows. This is the GT8 FX Floorboard setup. All right. So let's run this, and let's install the software. So yeah, I want to click yes because I want to install the software now. It's quite a quick bit of software. It's not that big a download. Okay, so yes, agree. I'm just going to take all of the standard settings. Yeah, so it's going up like C, program files, GT8 FX Floorboard, and it's extracting. And it's installing it. And this only takes, like I said, this is a relatively oldish laptop now, about 7 or 8 years old, to be honest. So it's not really a bit of a beast. and you get the chance to run the GT8 FX floorboard. Alright? Right, so let's go. What I'm going to do now is the part where essentially people get more mixed up. And that is on the connections. What connections do you plug into what on the back of your GT8? Let's go to that next. So this next part essentially is the part where most people go wrong. Alright? It's quite understandable as well. Alright? Now, let me see if I can show you again. Oop. On the bottom of here, I've got an in and I've got an outie. Much like lots of people's belly buttons. So, at the moment, what I've got is the white one, yeah, plugged into the out. The black one plugged into the in. Okay? Now, if you think about, much like your normal, if you've ever used an effects loop on the back of your amp, yeah, you go from you send on your back of your amp to the input, yeah, of a device, okay, like a GT8, something like that, yeah. And then when you go from your device back out, it goes back into the return, yeah. So on the back of your amp, essentially the send and return is your out, your send is out, your return is your in. Now, use that same example now here, on here. So I've got my MIDI connection, my MIDI signal going from my out, yeah, to dun dun dun. Let me see if we can get this right. Oh, not sure we can see that. Let me turn it round so you can actually see it properly. I tell you what, these damn things are built like tanks. Right. Oh, let me get this right. Sorry about this. Okay, so as you can see here now, my white one on my units here. Oh, let me see if we can rest it against my leg. Yeah. So my white one here is going from my out to my in. So the signal is coming from the interface, MIDI out to MIDI in. Yeah. Then coming from my MIDI out, sending it back out again to my dun 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 MIDI in. That's it, essentially. That's the main problem that people get mixed up. What people might sometimes think is they've got to match the in to the in to the out to the out. Yeah, it's not. If you think of it as any sort of a flow of energy, flow of signal, you're sending it out from this, or sending it out from this to into the device, doing all the processing work, sending it back out of your device, back in to your computer. Alright? Right, so there's your connections. Okay, so back to the laptop now, because you've connected it up, yeah, and what you can do then is you can power up your GT8. Alright, so you've got your, let me see, we've got GT8 on here. What I've also checked for you, now I haven't had to, on either GT8s, change any of the MIDI settings. But I thought, I wonder if, just in case, we'll go through them. Alright, so just in case you've got any issues, still with after watching this video, run through some of these settings. Alright, on your GT8 itself. Now you can get into them by this button here, System. Alright, so let me go back to my main patch. Yeah, main dirty. Yeah, and I'm going to press the System button. So System now takes me into a load of this different sort of general system settings, like the contrast of the screens, stuff like that, input levels, presences, and so on. Till eventually, what you'll see, instead of sys, it'll come to MIDI. Okay, so these are the standard settings that I've got on mine, which you may want to have a check and change it on yours, just in case. But this is as it will come from when I got both of the actual devices, both my first GT8 and this GT8. So I think this is the standard settings. However, these might help you, okay? So, RX channel 1, Omni mode on, TX channel RX, device ID ID1, sync clock auto, PC out on, just in case, EXP out CC7, expression switch out CC1, control out CC80. Now I haven't set any of these, okay, so I haven't got a clue what the hell any of these do. Never had to change any of them, but just in case. Sub controls 2 off, map select fix. Yep, this is where you're dumping all your MIDI to your PC, but you don't really need to do any of this anyway. Okay, so these are just the settings I thought. Right, just in case. I mean, one of them that may affect it is this one here. Now, essentially, yeah, all you need to do is just use your rotary switch there. Okay, right. So they're all the MIDI settings that's on the actual GT8. But like I said, I've never had to change any of them, to be honest. So they should just work as standard. Okay, let's go back to the laptop now and the moment of truth. So now we've got our GTH software on the machine as well. We know we've got our connectors plugged into our GT8 as well. Connected it onto our PC. Let's fire up the software. So this is the software that opens up. Okay, now on yours, I just have to test it on mine. Yeah, on yours, what you'll need to do is go into your tools. Yeah, preferences. From there into MIDI, and make sure you've got these set correctly. Yeah. So in my MIDI in, the only device is the Tang Hong musical instrument. Remember I showed you in the device manager earlier? Okay, that one there. Out. Now, generally speaking, most sound cards will have MIDI out as well. Make sure you've got, because all the ins and the outs need to be controlled by your MIDI interface. Yeah, so making sure I've got the Tang Hong for mine selected on both. Okay. Alright, so then we click. Whoop, where's it gone? So it's quite hard, and I'm trying to actually see what I'm doing on the screen. Whoop. Yeah, so click OK. Now, the moment of truth is, generally speaking, what you'll have to do is go to your connect button at the top here and click connect. And if it turns green, what it should then do is pick up your patch from your GT8. And away to go. Yeah? As you can see, this patch here now, I've got a sort of limiter. Actually got two limiters on here. I'll explain at a later date. I use mine as what do you call it? In the four cable method. So I use a Bulgara 333XL modded with lesser gain tubes. I use a couple of limiters at the start because it really brings and tightens up the tone. Okay, again, it's just personal preference. I've got my any overdrives then before the amp. I don't use the amp sim. I've got my my loop. Yep. My loop, which is on normal. One thing that I've found is when using the effects loop in here in the 4 cable method, that I've had to drop the send level for the effects loop a little bit, but the return is fine. Okay, noise suppressor, EQ, bit of hall reverb. Then I use sometimes I kick in a manual mode. Then I kick in the chorus and delays. All right, and the volume. What I also do is essentially, let's see if I can show you one here. Yeah, because I'm using this in the 4 cable method. If I want a volume swell or a volume adjust, yeah, what I'm doing is I'm adjusting the send level. Instead of kicking in like a boost or something like that, because all that's going to do is just going to hit the preamp valves a little bit harder, and it's going to make it just got more overdriven and not louder. What I essentially want is the actual the power amp stage side, yeah, to get louder. So this is what I've done here. What some people do is they'll put an EQ. I'm not sure if I've got anything on the second assign. No, that's just my overdrive on and off. Yeah, no, it's not, they're not even used anyway. But yeah, some people what they'll do is they'll kick in like an EQ pedal after the effects loop as a because it's at that point then you're hitting the power amp valves and you're actually adjusting the volume. But anyway, that's by the side. But that's an all patch. But you can see there now where I've got all my patches and it's connected up, well, working. Hopefully that's given you a bit of advice, a bit of guidance on. It's fairly straightforward, to be honest. Make sure you're downloading the software from the correct site. Don't download it from anywhere else apart from the source code. That exact link, I'll put it on the bottom of this as well, just to make sure that they let you know. Where the MIDI interface was any help for you, there's a tang horn. As you see, I saw it in the where you just do like just get one of those off Amazon or something like that. But you've seen the connection. Make sure you're following that signal path from your MIDI, yeah, from your out to your in on the GT8, from your out on the GT8 to your in on your connector. All right. Then making sure then when you go into your GTH software that you go into the preferences and select your in and out devices. All right. Then from there, then once you've done that, you should once you've done that, then what you might want to try and do is just close down the actual software and open it back up again, just to make sure it's reset. And then click on your connect button, and the connect button should connect up, and away to go. All right. Another little tip. Don't forget. I've always found, I don't know, it's just for myself. I've always found that that when I've done my patch, make sure I save it on the actual device itself, on the GTA itself. I don't rely on any software just in case I lose anything or overwrite anything. I do it manually on the actual device itself. All right. Then if I go to swap to say bank 2 or something like that, you disconnect and then reconnect again on your software. All right. So hopefully that's given you some tips and pointers on how to connect up your GT8. I've found using that software so much easier. However, I mean, again, the old GT8 is still a great unit. All right. So speak again soon, guys, and have fun.